start. Call to order. Flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused the notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Augusta, Branchville, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex in the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Mission statement. High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Mrs. Anderson?
Present.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Here.
Mr. Dunn?
Here.
Mr. Kehoe?
Present.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Morangi?
Here.
Ms. Tadona?
Here.
Mr. Carrazza is not here. Ms. Nugent?
Here.
Dr. Ripley?
Here. We have a quorum?
We have quorum.
I'd like to just, at this point, take a minute to reiterate the board objectives. And the board objectives that we voted on and agreed to for the year are review and update Board of Education bylaws to ensure greater transparency in operations. I believe we need to divvy those up to the different committees to spread the workload based on what they are and get those done during the winter. And the second objective or goal was during the 2019 calendar year and over the next several years, the High Point Regional High School Board of Education shall complete 4 credits per year for a total of 16 for 4 years, so as to earn board certification from New Jersey School Boards Association. I actually believe that is correctly, but I believe we voted on to be certified, which includes having the 4 credits. And also everybody staying current on their individual training. So if we can all remember that, and the reason I bring that up is it's on a calendar year. So it's not on a fiscal year through June 30th. You have to have your training done by December 31st. All right?
And if anybody's missing their training, Jim, do you have that information?
I do. Everyone has either received training or is planning on receiving it soon.
Okay, and the people that still need it know that they still need it?
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't know if I needed it or didn't.
No.
Okay, good.
Can we go back? Can we I know we had the goal as of when we agreed on it. Were we current with anything
Yeah.
from the prior years?
Yes.
Towards the 4
Yes.
years?
We have always been current as far as I've been here.
For
Regarding
that,
board
not for the
certification.
4, not for the 4 credits, not for the,
No,
But
just
the
regarding.
4 credits is the board taking 4 sessions.
Correct, like the sessions we've had.
with
Right.
Kathy
Kathy,
Mello,
but
yeah.
she's been here a couple of times. So.
Not 4 times a year before.
Not 4 times a year.
Oh, it's only 1 credit per?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like college.
No.
And it
I
has to
thought
be,
she said
we
we
have to
couldn't
all
go
be
back.
here. We're all,
Once
there's too
we
many new
decide
members.
to.
Oh,
board
you
training.
could not.
Right.
You have to decide to be certified. And then-
Right.
Okay, unless I see any other questions, I'm going to move on to the motion be made for High Point to go to executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, we'll move to executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All any opposed? first review any unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Seeing no unfinished business, we'll do approval of the minutes. Jim, you want to take a roll call for the approval of the minutes?
Sure. Can we have a motion for the approval of the minutes, the regular meeting minutes of September 17th, executive session for September 17th, emergency session for September 24th?
Motion.
Second. Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Morangi,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Public comments. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, we will open the public comments for agenda item only at this time. Each speaker should state his or her name and address before they begin. We will have 3 minutes to address the board, which will be timed by myself. We will limit this section to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful of your comments to the board. With that, are there any public comments? Seeing no public comments, we'll move on to presentations. We have a presentation on public hearing on student safety. If you're ready.
So, obviously I get the All right, I hope everyone's having a good evening. Today I'm here to present our SSDS report, which is our student safety data. So basically, it's a comparison of the last previous years for anything that gets reported to our student safety data system. Only certain disciplines get reported, it has to fall under what is considered student safety. So this is what gets reported: violence, vandalism, weapons, substance abuse, and HIP. There's a breakdown for each of those, so what falls under violence, what falls under vandalism, so on and so forth. And you know what, I'll actually go here first. When we talk about violence, obviously a fight, an assault, anything to that extent would fall under violence. Vandalism is anything over a certain amount of money, so anything over $10 that gets destroyed the building would fall under vandalism. Weapons, obviously, bringing a weapon to school. Substance abuse falls under possession, distribution, or use, confirmed use. And then HIBs, we have 2 forms, so we have the HIB that gets investigated and then actual confirmed HIBs. So, you can have 20 investigated, but only 5 confirmed, so on and so forth. So, these are our numbers for the previous years, the last 4 years. Violence is pretty consistent with those numbers. Vandalism, consistent as well. Weapon, we had the 1 incident last year that was out of paper. And then substance abuse is the number that can be a little uneasy looking at, and then our HIBs have stayed the same. This is the breakdown. So for violence, we have 4 assaults, 14 fights, 3 threats, 1 sexual contact. Substance abuse, it's the confirmed use that went up. Possession 5, distribution 1, and then we have the 1 weapon incident, and then we have no vandalism or a certain amount for property. For our HIBs, we had 21 investigated and 7 confirmed. So, like I said, with confirmed HIBs, it stayed pretty consistent from prior years. And this is just kind of a summary of what we're trying to do. So, last year was my first year. It was a huge learning curve for me to understand our demographics, our population. I was working with a new team. So Todd and I kind of put our heads together, and we're working on an action plan. One of the biggest focuses was the substance piece. And so our revamped EDGE program, we just hired a new SACS/guidance counselor who was really, really assisting us with trying to format our Room 120, which is our EDGE program. And I think it's going to be great. We have a big layout of what our RTI program is going to look like. So response to intervention is not solely on academics, but we're focusing on social, emotional, behavioral, and substance as well. So with her and one of our school psychologists, they're running our 120 program outside of our guidance and CST office, which I think is great. They serve kind of a different role for students who are struggling emotionally, behaviorally, with substances. TIE, I think, is awesome. It was created by students and teachers, and so it's our school climate program, and it's our school climate team, excuse me, and it stands for teamwork, integrity, and engagement. And so I put flash of the classes up there because it was really great to see students come together and really focus on what High Point needs to improve on. And so we've been doing activities starting at the beginning of October. We're going to do them throughout the year, and it's basically competitions between classes, but everything is like, if you look out front, we have our unity tree that was created by Todd. And so all our first period classes came together and made a leaf for what they stand for. So it's just a lot of activities that we're going to do throughout the year to build culture and climate and building a positive culture and climate. Our Pass It Along program, which is always phenomenal, they're coming in, I believe, at the end of October. This year, they're serving our freshmen and sophomores, so they're doing a program during their health classes, so that's going to be great. Response intervention and INRS program, that's really expanding because it's going to go through our EDGE program now, so it really has a nice structure to it. We created a format where all teachers have access to do referrals that kind of get streamlined and then broken down to who each referral should go to, so that we have a response to each issue that's going on, and it's an immediate response. So I think it's a great program that we're running. Communication between CST and guidance. We have this nice flow chart that we're working on too, where we have all teachers who they should be contacting for specific reasons and so on and so forth. We're focusing on attendance as well. Attendance was a big issue. I think it's an big issue everywhere, and so attendance is one of our main focuses as well. Parental engagement is always, open door policy. We try our best with struggling students to have parents come in and have parent meetings with a team of teachers, the parent, guidance counselor, myself, or Mr. Van Orden. So that's one of our key roles in trying to keep our students on track. Classroom visits and presentations, myself, Mr. Van Orden, Mr. Towling, we pop into classes, predominantly the freshman and senior classes. Freshmen just basically said, hey, here are our expectations, we're here to support you, we're going to hold you accountable, so on and so forth. And seniors, hey, you're setting the bar, you're the role models in the building, and hopefully you can set that example for the underclassmen. Our Violence Awareness Week is next week, where all of our departments do some type of lesson on violence awareness, which is great, so every department is required to do that. We just had our Week of Respect, which was awesome. Our school climate team focused on the Week of Respect. We had a jar outside where we were dropping in like pine notes, and it was just really nice to see all the students engaged. And then our face-to-face Fridays, which we continue to do, which is great. So we basically say, get off the internet, don't send me emails. If you want to talk with someone, go and see them. If the student wants to come talk, don't send me an email, come see me. Let's engage and communicate and see how we can just make this better place. So, do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, have a good night.
Student council?
Hello. So, for student council, we've been doing pretty good for at least the meetings. We have had quite a good amount of.
May I ask you to introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. My name is Jonathan Gores. I'm Speaker of the House at High Point. And the meetings have been great. We've been having quite good attendance for the meetings and being able to talk about all different things from Spirit Week to upcoming football games. And it's overall for the meetings and for the school, it's been great participation. And one of the main things that we had was the Spirit Week, which we had all different days that many of the students were very well active in these things, and it showed that there was a lot of student community, which we are all looking forward to and hoping that it grows within this year. Some upcoming things that we have going on for student council is the Holiday Bazaar, which we've been having meetings on it at lunch. We'll be talking about how we're going to be involved and what our impact on it will be to other people. And we have the 2 football games that are upcoming, the 18th and November 1st. which we have different days that we have scheduled as this will be a whiteout day, or I forget the other one, but there'll be days that we're able to have more community as we've been wanting to in the past year, and now we're going to be enforcing it in this year. And overall, we're very excited for what the future holds for student council, and we're hoping that everyone's able to come on along with us and have much more school spirit, and always just be excited about school the upcoming year. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
The next section is HPDA. I don't see your representative present unless somebody's filling in for me.
I'm anything prepared, I'm sorry.
That's
The only
okay.
thing I have is she asked for things, and I've been selected to become a member of the new New Jersey Technology and Engineering Education Association's advisory council. It's new this year, and they've asked me to help with the executive committee on their council, so I have that.
Congrats, Steve.
Congrats.
Congrats. That's great.
Thank you.
The principal's reports on.
Thank you, Shaquille. Good evening, everybody. How we doing?
Give us athletics too.
I'll give you the athletics, that's okay too. Okay, so we have a few things we're going to speak about. Thank you, Mr. Duke, for your very good presentation and overview of that. As always, we're here to answer any questions that you may have on that, not just for you board members, but in the public as well for that presentation. We had our about back to school day on the 19th. That was fantastic. We had a great participation level. Some of you that were there as wearing the other hats as parents. I had a lot of positive feedback about that from our parents and from our staff as well. So we really enjoyed that night. It's obviously our big night to showcase what we do every single day. I say to the teachers, the hard part is about to do it in 10 minutes. So we know what that's like in terms of trying to give that snapshot of your classroom. You did a fantastic job, and the custodial staff, the maintenance staff, as usual, did a fantastic job with the facility, which is, I believe, second to none in terms of what it looks like. So we always like to make sure we show how proud we are of them, and thank the custodial staff. They had to actually change their schedule to make that all work. So the shifts are a little bit different in order to be done by back to school night. 2 weeks ago, as John said before, and also Mr. Duke said as well, we had our Spirit Week, which was fantastic, and that was a great event. It was led by the climate team, and Mr. Duke and I worked with the climate team. We said, we can do all kinds of things for Spirit Week and then also Week of Respect. And the Week of Respect is something that really needs to come from students, and how can we make that more ownership? And the climate team decided to work on that and have some ownership of that, which is great because they planned 3 activities for the Week of Respect, and that was again a state mandated week. My philosophy on state mandated weeks is there should be every week should be that philosophy. So we have Violence Awareness Week, we have Week of Respect that are mandated state weeks, and it should be that way all the time. We should be aware of violence and the knowledge of that in our school buildings, in society, and also we should be respect all the time, and not just during that week. So it was great because they built on community ideas that will be long-standing, and not a presentation or maybe necessarily a speaker that would come in and maybe be an hour's worth of they call it a one-and-done type of mentality. So that was great. Nice job by the climate team and also for student council for the Spirit Week. We had a fantastic homecoming last week as well. So you may have seen those activities, a fantastic football game with a victory, as well as a fantastic homecoming dance. We had probably close to 400 students at the homecoming dance. It was one of the largest crowds we've had. So it was a pretty packed house in the cafeteria. That's our dance floor next door. I think I probably remember those days a couple years ago for that as well. So that was a great event. Many staff members helped coordinate those events, from our advisors, Mrs. Duke to Mr. Schaefer for student council. So there's a lot of work that goes into those events where we continue again to build community. Like John said, around the idea of being part of High Point. And that means something different to everybody. So we're hoping that community continues to work on that. Also, we had, in between there, we had what we call Start With Hello campaign, which was led by our Save and Pride students. That is a national campaign. I'm not sure if you've heard of that before or not. It's off of a foundation that talks about really kindness and the issue of just engaging in a conversation with another individual. It's as simple as starting with hello. So that, of course, starts about 2 years old at this point, and we participated the last 2 years. And it's again led by one of our clubs, student run, not directed by the administration, but by the students. And it's a really very nice event because they do activities all throughout the building. You still see some signs that are hanging up with that. It really gets down to the point of having a conversation with somebody that you may not know, and you'd be amazed at where that may go. Maybe they're struggling with something, maybe they just want to look for some friendship, maybe you're struggling with something, you look for somebody to talk to. So that was a campaign that was, again, led by our students, and that really did a nice job with that. As Mr. Duke said, we have here right behind us, you can see on this window here and also on the window there, our TIE acronym, right? Teamwork, Integrity, and Engagement, and that's, again, building that community all year long. Not just for this year, we're moving forward, working with the climate team, so we're really excited about that. We continue to have our Let Our Walls Talk, digital learning committee, wellness council, the face-to-face Fridays all kind of come out of that stuff. And that's, again, staff and students working together, and working together on a regular, continuous basis on many different topics that they feel are at need. Tomorrow we have the PSAT. Mr. Diodino, we kind of walked by before, we jokingly saw him, as we coordinate over 700 students taking that test tomorrow. We're excited about getting that underway, and Mr. Diodino has done a fantastic job. A lot of moving parts. We try to do a test of that level, and so we're very proud of his efforts for that, and looking forward to that completion tomorrow. The end of the first marking period, believe it or not, is coming up November 6th, fast as that may be. So for those parents, you can make those notes for your checking your sons and daughters. The senior formal is also coming up on the 6th, the same day. We've done that a couple years in the fall, and that's worked out pretty well. We're at a new location in Casabianca, which is down in Oak Ridge, and then that leads to teachers convention. So we're excited about the senior formal. This is a great event because it's just for seniors. This is less formal, if that makes any sense, than the prom. It seems to be a really well-attended event for our seniors overall. Excuse me. We also have in our guidance department our mini college fair coming up, which is at the 28th of October, and that'll be over 50 colleges already signed up at this point, colleges and also tech schools, trade schools. We have in Lincoln Tech and all kinds of schools that come into that. The guidance department does a fantastic job with garnishing a lot of different schools that are available to come in. So we actually coordinate with other schools in the area, so that makes it a little bit easier for the colleges to attend, so they're not coming out once, that's kind of coming out once for 3 or 4 schools.
When did you say that is?
The 28th, just finished.
Thanks.
Yep. Until the 28th. And that will be for juniors and seniors, and that will run in the morning blocks for that period. Academic Awards Night will be the following day. You're welcome to attend that. That's going to be in the Media Center, October 29th. You'll be seeing invitations for that if you haven't already, for your sons and daughters, and that's a recognition of all 4 marking periods of honor roll. And then we also recognize about 15 to 20 other academic awards as well. Some that are AP related and many that are not. And that's a great event for honoring our students. It really has been something that's well attended. So we're looking forward to that. That's on the 29th in the Media Center. 8th grade tours. Hard to believe that we're saying that, but we'll be starting on the 13th and 14th of November. That's our first step into transitioning next year's 9th grade class. We have many steps along the way for that. That's the first step in doing that. So we have our same districts coming in on the 13th and 14th for an abbreviated time in the morning to participate in that. That's something again we've added with feedback over the course of time. We used to start with just the 8th grade open house in January, and now we back it up. This will be our 3rd year of doing the 8th grade tours all the way in November. So that's our first initial step. And then I think it's on the agenda, but the recognition and invitation for the fall genre, the Diary of Anne Frank is coming up as well. That should be in there, and it's 25th and 26th at 7 p.m. and also at 27th at 2 p.m. is the matinee show. That's a great show. Mr. Carter is very excited about her cast. It's really very competitive, very, very tough to choose those leading roles in that. And what's interesting, this year they did a research trip to Washington, D.C. And actually visited the Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. and talking to the students after the fact. I know the board supported that as well. Mr. Carty asked me about it last year. I said, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, we can get together the funding and everything else, the logistics for it. But the power of the students coming back and talking to me about their experience and just saying how much they've learned and that they've been there before. They've been to the museum before, probably in 8th grade and probably some other times, probably maybe 2 or 3 times they've been there. But the depth of what they were looking at and how they were looking at it through the lens of this drama was pretty powerful. So many students really appreciate that. I just wanted to pass it on to you. And we're thankful for that opportunity. And they feel that they've really put them in a completely different mindset for the show they're going to do for the Diary of Anne Frank. So that was something that other schools have done that before in the past. It was their first time doing that research-based trip and activity, and they really felt that was a great opportunity. Any questions with that before I move to athletic report?
The 8th grade tours, is that, are all of our sending districts attending?
All of our sending districts are invited to attend. Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
We have, we always invite all our Senate districts. Some of them are confirmed already, and we're still pending some confirmation on other Senate districts. Okay? And we do coordinate that at those dates. To ask questions, Mr. Dunn, we do coordinate those dates, probably starting in the spring of last year, because we're looking at school calendars. And we try to coordinate always with Senate districts of when their best dates are available. It always falls in that somewhere in that time period, that week or so. But we're also working around their parent-teacher conferences and other things they got going on. So in my principal meetings that we meet in Senate districts, we start coordinating usually in about March of the previous year to confirm those dates, and then we just kind of lock them in as we get closer. Okay? All right, athletic report, should be up, that's okay? All right, so Mr. Benoit is giving me the athletic report for the fall season, as some teams are wrapping up for the year already, and some of them are striving on. Boys soccer is continuing to rebuild and work hard. They are at 2-11 record. The girls soccer is 5-6-1. They just lost a tough game this weekend. I think it was Saturday. 2-0. The vote was done right, 2-0 to a very tough team in HWS. And they will have their kick for a pure game. If you've been following on social media, it's been all over the place on October 24th. That's here at 6 p.m. underneath the lights versus Walker Valley. So we're excited about that game. And that's going to be something that's going to be, again, raising funds. I believe it's maybe the 6th or 7th year that the soccer team has promoted this type of awareness. Again, it's October, it's cancer awareness, particularly breast cancer awareness month. Field hockey has won quite a few games recently. They're 5-10. They had their annual play pink game was against Kittatinny the 9th, which was last week Wednesday, and it was a cold, dreary, windy night. They pulled out a victory 3-1, and that was a nice event for the girls. Unfortunately, I think the crowd was a little diminished because of the cold weather. It didn't snow, which it felt like it was going to, but it was a good time. The girls had a great time. They did a great event, and they raised a lot of funds for cancer awareness. So that's what's most important. And they really get excited and have passion about these types of these games and events. So that was what's most important. Cross country, I have not heard back from today's NJAC tournament yet, but the boys are 11-0, the girls are 9-2. The boys were the NJAC champions. They have the tournament going on currently today. Ethan Billings last week finished third at the HWS Championships overall. Third overall last week, which is amazing. I think Mrs. Sun and Mrs. Carter said he's shaving a minute off of his time, which in the cross country world, which you can tell me that's really fast. To be able to shave a minute off your time in cross country is pretty impressive. Both teams are doing the NJAC Championships today. Again, waiting for word on that. Girls tennis is 12-5. They advanced to the quarterfinals of the NJSIA state tournament, and they just wrapped up. Football is 3-3. They will host Kittatinny on Friday night, as of course said before. That's a home game that we have tonight against, or Friday against the Cougars. So we're excited about that. Sussex County rivalry like it always used to be. It's nice to have those a little bit here and there. Some upcoming events athletically. Senior Parent Night is November 1st. That will be here in the football field. That's also a game against Lumberton Valley with our fall Parent Night. Girls soccer and pure game, we talked about that. Field hockey, we talked about that. So a lot of events that are taking place and are still looking to happen. The athletes of the week, according to Mr. Norden, are Lauren Palucci and Lauren England for tennis. So 2 tennis stars for that. And some kid named Travis Talman for football and Ethan Billings for cross country. So well deserved for all of those athletes. Ethan's had a fantastic season. It really has, and I'm sure he's finishing very well in NJACs as well as we speak for that. Any questions for athletics? Busy fall season. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Curriculum and instruction.
Good evening, everyone. So it's my pleasure this month to talk to you guys about curriculum. I have just been tasked with speaking longer than Mr. Campbell, so
That's impossible.
I got the time by the word on the street. See a lot of familiar faces, but for those of you that don't know, I'm Mr. Brian Drellick. I'm the STEM supervisor here. Prior to my time as supervisor, I taught tech ed here for 14 years. So the topic I'm going to talk to you tonight about is pretty near and dear to my heart. So what I feel like we can consistently go back to every time we speak about the pathway structure we've created, or the program of study, or just generally speaking with our students and our teachers, it seems to always go back to these 2 things: college and career ready. There's a lot of buzz with that terms: college ready, career ready, work ready, life ready. Essentially, we just want our kids to graduate and be good at whatever it is that they're doing when they leave, whatever that is and wherever that is. The other thing we're really trying to do and connect better with is our graduates. So as they leave, how we stay in contact with them, where they go to college, where they go to work, what they do after they graduate from college. Through the Pathways work we've done over the past several years, we've solicited feedback from a lot of them to try to put anecdotal information about what their current career is into some of the information that we share with our staff and with our students. Trying to do the same thing right now with concurrent enrollment. You know, how many students graduated last year that are starting college with 9 credits, 15 credits, 20, 27 credits, whatever the case may be. That requires communication back and forth. So in the spirit of that, another thing that consistently comes up, and this goes back to a lot of the work that we did, Mr. Peltier and I did over the many years that we taught together in the tech department, was this constant cry from the manufacturing community in New Jersey about the need for skilled labor. So although we put a lot of resources and time and energy into four-year colleges, at the same time when we invite UTI and Lincoln Tech and Penn Tech in here, or those institutions come here for the college fairs, we are also hearing about we have all these jobs and we have no one to fill them at all. Every time Mr. Gonzalez and I go to NJIT, they stand in front of us pleading for help of how to get our students into careers like this that are lucrative, highly respected, but in such a degree of demand, and it seems like the call falls on empty ears a lot. So last spring, actually last winter, I remember because when Mr. Tom and I had the first conference call with them, my entire family was home with the flu. So that conference call was actually a welcome break from what else I was dealing with at home. One of our graduates, Ms. Alexandra Hoffman, now it's about 5 o'clock today, like, oh, we go downstairs and try to find what year she graduated a year ago. Then I got totally distracted, like, I remember that student, and then I never found what year she graduated, she's on vacation. So that's a picture of her now. She graduated from here, I honestly don't remember. I had her brother in class several times, and she currently works for the German American Chamber of Commerce, tasked with putting together an apprenticeship program for students across New Jersey to try to fill that void that clearly exists. So she reached out to John and I last spring and presented this idea to us. And as we were both on the phone, I think John was here, I was at home, she said, we want to reach back out to you because we remember, and I remember hearing from our brother Greg, what things he did in our department back there and how she thought what he was doing then and what she was confident our students were still doing now would be a great fit for this program. So as she's explaining this to us on the phone, she's saying we're looking to provide high school students with the opportunity to take the necessary classes in the morning and then leave in the afternoon for a paid apprenticeship at 2 manufacturing companies in Morris County. Or, as she continued to say, or we are looking for your students who are about to graduate. This program can offer them free college tuition, an associate's degree, and the opportunity to work and get paid as an apprenticeship, working up towards full-time employment with that given company. So, not speaking for John, but I'm pretty sure both of us, as we listen to this, found it very difficult to believe that this would all be true. A couple weeks later, she came in and spoke to probably 70 or 80 students and described the opportunity to them. And what transpired then, after, for the next several months, was a pretty persistent communication from us as a department and from the teachers, and I thank Mr. Peltier, Mr. Cardinal, and Mr. Gonzalez for their persistence. And I'm going to acknowledge the gentleman behind me in a second for essentially this. There's no catch. It's really amazing, and they met with the guidance counselors this morning, and I'm certainly not aware of anything like this that has ever been presented to our students, nor were any of the counselors that they spoke to. But what these 2 fine gentlemen behind me are currently getting is a fully paid for college tuition from CCM as they work towards an associate's degree in mechanical engineering technology / mechatronics. And one of the cool things about mechatronics is kind of like a new buzz term in the manufacturing world. It's kind of hard to see that text there, but it basically encompasses every component of what students would do. Electronics, mechanics, robotics, CNC, CAD, draft, pulls it all together. They're also currently working, I don't want to step too much on their toes, they're also both working as apprentices right now for a German-American company in Morris County, fully paid there as well. And they have to commit a 2-year extension to work for this company after they complete their degree. They can choose whether they stop their degree at the end of their associate's program at CCM or continue on to NJIT and complete their fully paid for bachelor's degree there. So, this August, I'll pass this out to you guys. Allie, who was our graduate, invited me to this really nice symposium at Montclair State. I wanted to go and support her because she put so much time and energy into providing this opportunity to us. I also wanted to be in the same room as, for the sake of being there, as Governor Murphy. All political opinions aside, I thought it would be cool to hear the governor speak. So I arrived at Montclair State that morning, and I look at this invitation, this piece of paper, and I look at the front of it, I was like, oh, that looks like Nick. And then I flipped it over, and I see Nick in a hard hat. Here's Nick, in his green hard hat. No Avi yet, he's coming in soon. And I'm looking down the morning's agenda. I see keynote address from Governor Murphy at 10:10. And then I continue to look down to the bottom of the page. I see 11:30 a.m. apprentice signing ceremony and Nicholas Sunday with Arconic. I worked back and forth with Nick and Avi all spring last year. You know, they showed interest. We met in my office. They submitted their resumes. But I did know that they had actually moved forward and signed the contract with this company. So it was a pretty exciting morning for me. I didn't even know that this had transpired. It was a pretty exciting morning when they both arrived to watch them on stage, as you can see up there in their picture, and see them sign this contract. And although I unfortunately don't get the opportunity to teach anymore, it brought me back to those feelings I had as a teacher when I saw these guys up there signing this contract, and I saw the 4 students statewide that are actually in this program right now, knowing that 2 of them graduated from our school. So I'm going to let them speak about what they're actually doing now because their story is way cooler than mine. So, guys.
Thank you. Just right after.
Keep going. Yep. I'll come to that.
Good afternoon. My name is Avion Marsh. I'm Nicholas Sunday, and we're part of the German American Chamber of Commerce, and that's the GACC. A little bit about us is I graduated with class of 2019 last year. I took Power 1 up to 4 while I was here, as long as Engineering and Design Tech.
I also graduated last year in 2019, and I took Power 1 to 3, CAD 2, and then I just bounced around the engineering program.
So how the program works, basically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we go to work at Arconic in Dover from 8 to 4:30, and it depends on your schedule. But for mine, I go Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays I go to CCM, and I study mechatronics there. Since the company pays for our college, we basically have to write everything that we do while we're at work in a book. I brought it here, I'm not sure if you want to look through it, but pretty much everything we do hour by hour is written into a book, and we have to put it into an online textbook and send that into the school. So Arconic is the company we work for. It's in Dover. There's a lot of sites, but ours is specifically aerospace engineering. We work on basically machines that build parts for Apache helicopters, rocket ships, and like new fighter jets for the military.
Yeah, I believe that's I think they call it the FE-35. That's our new fighter jet, and we actually make components for the turbines on those jet engines. We also make components for the engine that can sustain immense amounts of heat without breaking or cracking. So what we do here, this is a wet saw blade. So this cuts the metal pieces perfectly. And it's kind of hard to tell, but in the right picture you can see there's the blade and that shield above it. So our task was to go in there, measure it out, and put it all onto SolidWorks, which is like an AutoCAD program. And on the bottom left is a drawing of that. And we also, to create these drawings, brought along this. This is where we sketch everything. So I'll pass this around to you guys. This is a sketch of that. It's not very neat, but it allows us to build things like this. And on the top left, it's hard to see, but that's what we call a final drawing. So that is a system that holds up the cast that they make there. And that is a left view, a right view, and a top view. And in the bottom right is a box, hard to see again, but that box is a materials list that we also have to put together for where the people making these can find the materials.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what the machine is called. We just started this project 2 days ago. But if you look closely, you can see there's black beams that they slowly roll, and it carries 20-gallon drums that have the material that we build the parts with. And the company's really big on safety. We have to wear eye protection everywhere we go. Some places you need like masks, suits, hard hats, earplugs. But yeah, so they deem this not safe to work for because it doesn't have like a safety system that the doors open to stop the machines. So we installed new latches that if you open the door to a certain degree, it cuts off the circuit and shuts the power off the machine. So it's basically impossible to hurt yourself getting in wise.
So this, on the right is the remote control that we worked on. With this machine, we don't know the name of it, but it's kind of like a handheld forklift, because where we work, you're not allowed to really pick up heavy things by yourself. It's like all against all codes. But anyway, these controllers are always great. So that little circuit board like always fries or a wire snaps. So we were tasked with fixing 3 of them. Me, myself, Avi, and another coworker of ours, and our mentor. So we figured out the problem, and it's hard to see, but there's 2 wires on the bottom of that board that were switched, so we had to switch them back, and some of them were snapped, and then we tested them out, and they worked. And we actually saved the company $1,200 a box by fixing them.
So yeah, a project we just finished was there's a solenoid on the valve that they wanted a new one put onto. And also there's a DSCT pump room, they call it, and all the lights are blown and stuff. So they want us to put all new outlets, electrical wires and lights up. So we spent about 2 days in the room just putting stuff up, connecting it to the panel. And that's what it looks like in the end. You can't really see it from there, but all new lights, new outlets, new wires going through. And yeah. That's it.
That was the last picture of the one I struck from this afternoon.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, good.
Do you guys have any questions for us?
It's fascinating. Did you know you wanted to do this when you got out of High Point?
Well, I always knew I wanted to do something with engineering, but originally I was in the military to be a Navy diver, and I broke my collarbone when I was snowboarding. So Nick took the opportunity as soon as it came up, but just about a week before signing, I was like, all right, maybe I should give it a shot. Like, it's not looking too good for me with the military, and I got rushed through. So yeah, it was kind of a last-minute decision, but I'm so happy I made it.
Good, good. It's that the whole concept of what am I going to do, where am I going to go, am I going to like what I'm working on,
Yeah.
is so challenging for anybody your age, anybody.
That was my
so
problem.
that's a big deal that you discovered this, and if you didn't like it once you got there, okay, but it looks like it's fitting the bill for you right now. So
Yeah, it's like being in shop class all day.
that's great.
And it looks like you're doing different projects, you're not doing the same thing over
Yes,
and over.
we won't get it. We literally get hit with something new every day. It's the best.
How are you finding the workload between schoolwork and working?
I personally find it very easy. So I'm going there for 4 classes right now, but they're all night classes. So really, like, it's really late. Like, teachers aren't there to hold you there, so they teach everything they need to teach in about 2 hours, so you get the full idea. And it's really not that bad. I meet once a week with them. I feel I have time during the week to get my work done with no problems.
Yeah, and when we have work on the same day of class, we get out at 4:30, and I think the earliest class that we have is on work day is 6:30. So we have 2 hours in between to catch up on homework and stuff like that.
Do you believe that High Point's curriculum and teachers prepared you well to succeed?
Oh yeah. Without Drellick and Gonzalez and everyone, I would have never been able to do it, honestly. They gave us like such a good baseline for all like the knowledge that we need to know that for like the first couple of projects, I was pretty comfortable and confident I could do it without even them teaching us.
That's well done, Mr. Jolly.
And I know, with all these guys, all I was doing was like, guys, respond to my email. Guys, respond to my Nick, remember me? Respond to my email. Nice to see you, Avi.
So is there plans to bring these gentlemen back to maybe speak to the students?
So, yep, I'm gonna wrap back around. Thanks, guys. That was so where are we now? That's a great question. So this was really fascinating to sit through today. So they showed up the second day of school. Surprise, the main office calls, Mr. Joel, there's two guys here looking to sell you a product. I'm like, guys, you can't talk to them on the second day of school. The teachers are still getting used to what's going on. So I said, why don't you come back in a little while? I wanted them to speak with all of you. But the fascinating change between when the Allie and the German American Exchange program came in, the apprenticeship program came in February, she's basically standing up in front of the kids saying, you're going to get paid to work, and we're going to pay for your college. And everybody was like, what did she say? And it was hard to understand that this could actually be true. Fast forward to today with these guys, silence in the room as they spoke. Because I think the message, A, they have relationships with a number of the students that are still here. B, they're living this now. So the fact that they are saying, yes, they're paying for our associate's degree, they're even paying for our bachelor's degree if we want to continue that far, and we're getting paid to work. They shared how much they're getting paid. They're sharing how much they will get paid next year and the year after. It was an incredibly captive audience. So they spoke to about, 80 or 85 students today, Mr. Peltier's classes, Mr. Gonzalez's classes, Mr. Cardinal's classes. And one of the things that I constantly challenge myself to do better with is they met with our guidance counselors beforehand. So if there are students in the building who are not the 80 that they spoke with today, as the counselors speak to some of their different students throughout the course of the next several months, they'll be able to share this information and put our current students in contact with them. And then to follow up next Friday, Allie's coming back with her colleague to speak more about the logistical parts. We had great questions today. What if you reconsider and want to leave early? What happens? There's a bunch of things that they were asked today that they were asking about safety, and these guys were talking about how they have to have safety classes on immediately, and all the safety and the 2-day OSHA training that they have, because our students understand they spend the first several weeks of school going through safety training in all of these classes. They talked about the tolerance that their employers have for them showing up late, which doesn't exist. There is no tolerance for it. So it was a really good transition, considering these guys were only here 4 months ago, or 5 months ago, to where they are now, how quickly this could happen. And so we're hoping that any students in the classes who have any anxiety about, boy, what am I going to do in 8 months? Here is a phenomenal, just simply amazing opportunity for them. And the other piece, really, our juniors right now, that's who they really want. They want our current juniors to take class, much like our work experience program. They want them to take English, phys ed, and whatever else they need to in the morning. Then they want them to leave and drive down there and do a paid apprenticeship program while they're high school, foot in the door into work, and kind of even be a step ahead of these guys. But in any way you cut it, it's a phenomenal program. So we're obviously all very proud of them.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I'll say to you, as somebody whose day job is in New Jersey manufacturing, pretty much my entire career has been manufacturing in New Jersey, graduate NJIT, graduate CCM, I will tell you the experience you're getting in hands-on apprenticeship type work puts you head and shoulders above other applicants for any kind of position in the technical company. And knowing, the type of people that is hired in as a entry-level engineer, entry-level mechatronics or whatever, you'll have much to talk about in an interview.
I was going to ask, what were some of the prerequisites they were looking for you, or what kind of characteristics were they looking for?
It's not like they were looking for anything specific. I think they were very open-minded with it. Like, Avi got rushed through it because he came in late, but I went through all of it. There's really no pre-requirements. I guess basically just have some engineering knowledge, like you have interest in it. So like we were the only 2 strict high school students who actually went through this. Like we have no college credits like towards like a county college or something. Like actually our coworker is already sophomore in college and he just graduated high school. So there's really no prerequisites, but what they were fascinated with was what we learned here. So like for us it was a heart transplant robot we did for a competition. And that really struck their interest and they liked our work ethic. So, because really you didn't have to have like a background, it's just how they feel about you and your work ethic.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Congratulations. Thanks.
We're good. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, busy schedule like you have.
We're gonna have lunch.
problem. Anytime. Pleasure.
Good job, man.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
Of course. I'm gonna check my email.
Sit down.
Did I get close or no?
Phenomenal, of course. You're still with us. I want to make sure.
Make you guys proud.
And you work today.
See you, man.
Put you in presentation mode.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
See, we still have an extra time now this meeting.
Although Brian was pretty close.
Just let him click the button one time.
No, it's not business.
All right, seeing no other business, we'll go to our action items, curriculum.
Okay, curriculum, instruction and technology. Items 1, 2, and 3, we are accepting those reports, the faculty attendance, the student attendance, and suspension. I'm going to move items 4 through 8. Item 4 is to approve the harassment and intimidation and bullying report for this month. Item 5 is to approve the curricular and co-curricular field trips for this month, or actually listed on the attachments, not this month. Item 6 is to approve the professional development activities that are listed on the A6. Item 7 is the approve the revised 2019-20 school calendar, which now includes half days for the student midterm assessments. Item 8, approve the district nursing services plan for this school year. And that's it. Moving those, need a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Moran?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. Personnel.
Okay, in personnel, I would like to move items 1 through 5 together. Item 1 is in accordance with HPEA agreement, the appropriate verification for advancement on the guide as listed. Item 2 is recommendation to approve the maternity, child care leave, family medical leave, and New Jersey family leave, employee 1298 as listed. Item 3 is a recommendation to approve the child care leave, family medical leave, and New Jersey family leave to employee 1208 as listed. Item 4 is a recommendation to approve the substitutes as listed. And item 5 is a recommendation to approve Mr. James Rice as a school safety specialist for the remainder of the 2019 school year effective September 30, 2019. I make a motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on those items, 1 through 5?
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Donah?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes.
So I'm going to move item 6 separate. I'm asking for a motion to, it is recommended by the Board of Education to approve the following individuals as student workers as listed. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on item 6? None? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dunn?
Abstain?
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Donah?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. Extracurricular. Item 1, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the following extracurricular appointments for 2019-2020 school year as listed. We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none discussions, we have a vote.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Donah?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. Item 2, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the establishment of the volunteer club Girl Up, a national club empowering girls in community and school leadership, volunteerism, unity, and positive involvement, with Erin Bang as a volunteer advisor for the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to comment on this one and the upcoming item you're going to move, that we have volunteer advisors, and I think it should be noted that the staff volunteers to work with these kids in such a positive capacity.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing no other comments, roll call.
Ms. Nugent.
Yes.
Ms. Sedona.
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. And item 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the establishment of the environmental club with Aaron Baker as the volunteer advisor for 2019-2020 school year. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Again, the point out is everything, it's a volunteer advisor to it. That being said, roll call.
Ms. Sedona.
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Nugent.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Policy.
Policy, I will move the sole item under policy number 1, although it is the lengthy one. The recommendation by the superintendent that the board approves the revision of the following policies and regulations, and I don't think I'll read them all. All right, so they're as listed. Making the motion, seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on these policies? I believe these are all mandated. Dr. Griffin?
Yeah, most are mandated. There are some that are recommended, but most are mandated.
And how are they all, they're all revised, so we had them, you've just changed some language to meet current
That is correct.
standards, okay?
Does anyone else discuss item 1? If not,
Mr. Ancliffe.
yes.
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Nugent.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Negotiations, there are no negotiation items at this time. Building and grounds, there are no building and grounds items at this time. Finance.
Under finance, I would like to move items 1 through 6 as a block. Item 1 is recommendation that the board accepts the report of the board secretary business administrator for the month of September 2019. And 2 is a recommendation to accept the report of the treasurer for the month of September 2019. Item 3 is a recommendation to approve the report of transfers and minimum expense transfer report for the month of September 2019. Item 4 is a recommendation to approve for payment the schedule of audited bills dated October 15, 2019. Item 5 is a recommendation to accept the adult education agency account, athletic account, cafeteria account, principal petty cash, and school store account for the month of 2019. And item 6 is a recommendation to approve the following tuition contracts between High Point Regional High School Sending and the following districts as listed. Seeking, and I make a motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on items 1 through 6? None?
Mr. Morangi.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Mr. Dunn.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Nugent.
Yes.
Mr. Dono.
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
Okay, so I would also like to move items 7 through 11 together as a block. 7 is a recommendation to approve the agreement between Skylands Ice World and High Point Regional High School for their facility use during the 2019-2020 school year for ice hockey. Item 8 is a recommendation to approve the intake agreement between the New Jersey Coalition for Inclusion Education and High Point Regional.
as listed. Item 9 is a recommendation to approve the co-ed basketball camp running between 11/7 and 11/8 at High Point Regional. Item 10 is a recommendation to approve the student council to host a holiday bazaar on November 23rd, 2019. Item 11 is a recommendation to accept gratefully the donation in the amount of $250 from Sussex Rural Electric Company to be used to support High Point Regional Media Tech Program. I make the motion seeking a second on those items.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to point out that the Rural Electric Co-op does a lot of good things for our school. They give us money, they give us time, they give us energy, they give our administration a place to go work so that they can be out of this building, so that they can get their stuff done, and then they can come back and make it happen. The Sussex,
Great, yeah,
they're
fantastic.
so good. Claudia Buffet, they are an invaluable resource.
The only problem is they're so close, the radios work when we're there. So we know when there was a coffee spill.
It's great, but they really deserve all the accolades, so.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Marangi?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to move items 12 and 13 together. There seems to be a theme here. Item 12 is a recommendation to approve the comprehensive maintenance plan for fiscal year 2019-2020. And item 13 is a recommendation to approve the annual required maintenance budget worksheet for fiscal year 2019-2020. I make the motion seeking a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion on 12 or 13? If not, okay, roll call please. Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Marangi?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes.
And I will move the remaining items 14 through 17 together. In finance, item 14 is recommendation to approve the tax shelter and annuity company for the 2019-2020 school year as listed below. Item 15 is recommendation to approve the disposal of the attached list of outdated science chemicals that are in attachment G8. Item 16 is a recommendation to gratefully accept the following donations from the Delaney family to be used in fine arts courses as listed. And item 17 is a recommendation that the board approves the disposal of the attached obsolete science textbooks that are contained in attachment G9. Making a motion, seeking a second on those items.
Second.
Discussion on 14, 15, 16, or 17. See any? Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Marangi?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. Transportation.
Okay, we move items 1 through 5. Item 1 is quota routes for special needs students in the 2019-2020 year. Item 2 is a joint transportation agreement for special education routes for the school year. Item 3 is a revised joint transportation agreement for some special transportation, which was originally approved earlier, but we got some revisions to do. Item 4, joint transportation agreements for the school year. And item 5 is a few pages away. There's a lot of jointures. Item 5 is quota contracts for field trips for the 2019 school year. Moving items 1 through 5. Second.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Oh, wait, I have one. I just want to point out, and I should do this every once in a while, or we should do it every once in a while. We have of this wonderful transportation coordinator, and she does a lot of work. And we have these jointures where we organize and arrange for transportation for other schools, other students, and we are paid a fee for that of 5% on the bill. So we make money on this, and I think it's important to tell the public that we work very hard to bring extra money from other districts, from service we provide, into our district, and with that money we have a special savings account that's called the, what's the account for the transportation? Fund 50. And we buy buses with it, and it's amazing. So all of these blah, 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 we're going to this place for this kid, for this place for this school, it makes us money, and it helps out our kids and our taxpayers. So good for June and High Point for doing that. Anybody else? Roll call?
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Sedona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Rangi?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. Long-term planning, we have a preliminary long-range facility plan that we're working on. It's going through committee, hopefully to be able to present to the public and discuss what we see as our facility needs going forward and how we're going to finance. And hopefully we can get that out to the public soon. With regard to that, there are no legal issues at this time. Correspondence? I don't believe there's any correspondence at this time. Miscellaneous. Anybody have a miscellaneous item? Public comments. At this point in time, it's open to the public. Just please provide your name and address before you speak, and remember it's being recorded, so be professional in your comments. Seeing no comments, any non-committee board member reports?
Why, yes. Thanks for asking. Seamus, you're going to help me out on this one. I attended a meeting with Mr. Campbell at Sussex County Community College.
I actually have a presentation.
And it was awesome. We met with Dr. Connolly, the president of the college. We met with, and this is where I need your help. Tell the people that were there. Thanks.
Administrators from Newton High School, Kittatinny High School, and High Point, and the three of us are partnering with Pass It Along to have our sophomores trained in a program called Passion and Purpose. So we get our sophomores thinking about, just before they begin to schedule for junior year, what they may want to do for college and career. And the county college is going to put on an assembly for our sophomores that talks about all the certification programs and trade programs that they have. So Mr. Townley mentioned tonight we have a college fair. This is a trade presentation, certification and trades. But then everybody's curious about their facilities, and it's got a lot of buzz when they took over the old JR roof. So we're going to have a trip to bring our students on site and to see their various programs.
Which is great. Because, and there were two other gentlemen there, I know he's joking. I don't want to talk about this. There were two other gentlemen there that are affiliated with the college.
Todd Polterstorff.
They were like guidance counselors, but what's their real title?
Todd is their director of
Admissions, okay. So they're like gigantic, fabulous guidance counselors. They're figuring out what the curriculum should be, how to get the kids aware of them, how to get the kids interested, what do we need to do to present this information.
And they followed up today. They're going to come here in November and do a focus group with about a dozen students to from Steve and Alex's classes to talk about what it is that is, what's really ticking in a 17-year-old person's mind when they make that decision between Montclair State to study business or apprenticeships, etc. And students from Newton, Kittatinny, and High Point are going to take part in a focus group.
And Dr. Connolly is very focused on this careers education and technology and certification in a variety of areas. He's so passionate about this. And they brought a new catchphrase to this whole thing. It's not blue collar, it's new collar. Because new collar is new technology, new information, new skills, that you do not necessarily go to a 4-year liberal arts school and you come out with this great training, a certification, a job. There's another a young man who's running the J.R. Roof campus.
Yes,
And
Jason, yeah.
Jason, and he's amazing, very soft-spoken, but he's got this thing going on, and he knows what he wants to present to the kids when they show up, so they're engaged, and they say, wow, I would like to be involved in that. It is so important for our community. This area we need workers, just like the company that we were looking at here. They need workers, we need workers in the county, and this is a way to get our kids aware of what they can do. My focus was like, well, tell them they're going to make a lot of money and don't have to pay a lot to go to school. And everybody's like, they don't care about that. They're sophomore kids. I'm like, oh yeah, but their moms and dads might care. But it's really amazing program, and it's because we got involved with Kurt Walton and passed it along that this is all coming together for us as well. I mean, County College was doing it anyway, but we are involved in it through Kurt. It's just a big deal. So I applaud once again Seamus Kimmel for getting us involved in all this. So
Thanks for joining us. It's a nice group, and we saw tonight we're all in on the fact that we do have kids going on to Bucknell that are going to be lawyers.
Yep.
But we have a lot of kids that want to do that type of thing, and our mission is to be equally as strong in serving all those kids.
That was my non-committee.
I have a member from
Good.
to say. I actually just want to take a minute and show a bit of gratitude to the administration here. A lot of the times teachers get, they are on the front lines, yes, and there's a lot of people that thank them and everything, but I don't think, being an administrator, that people just stop and take the time to say thank you. It's a lot of hard work and it's a thankless job often, so today it is not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really great.
I do have something I'd like to add. As some of you may know, I coach a lot of sports in town and whatnot. This is my first year not coaching football since my children have been in school here. With that, I was able to go to my first ever back to school night. And it was at High Point Regional High School, which is where I fell in love with this school back when I came to 8th grade orientation or freshman orientation. I was just pleased with everything that I saw that night. I mean, the school's always clean. It's a beautiful campus. But the administration, what they had to say, the teachers, I've never really gotten one-on-one time with the teachers, and seeing them in action, giving us their whole tutorial was amazing. The students that were guiding us through the hallways, just great children, students, helping out and just very knowledgeable of the school. They seemed very positive. They loved being here at High Point. Had a lot of great things to say about the school, the teachers and administration. So as a parent, that means a lot to me. As a board member, it makes me proud to be part of this board. So thank you very much for a great night.
Any other non-committee?
I think, Mr. Campbell, with the CPAC transition, help me with the name, that was here last week?
Community Resource Fair.
Thank you. And that was the first one, and congratulations for getting it going.
Thank you. That was Mr. Carter's work, and I think to reach out with Susquehanna, with our CPAG group, with their CPAG group, our administrators. So as I think I put in that email, it was really a lot of hands on deck, but the resources in the county that showed up were incredible. Right, so Mrs. Vargas here tonight, she was part of that as well. And tomorrow evening, our High Point CPAG is meeting. So any Mrs. Anderson, I don't know if you're
I'll be there.
okay. But we're doing a lot of great things, and we're excited for tomorrow night.
Was that Seamus' time?
I gotta have some time in the bank.
Any other non-committee? For the record, I just want to say, Debbie, I would never Tom you.
Thank you.
Other business? Jim?
Other business, Oprah requests, we received one since the last meeting. from the New Jersey Herald for the resume and cover letter recently submitted by Mr. Rice for the Director of Safety and Security position. We were able to respond to it that same day.
Regarding the one listed in September 99, while the board attorney did advise us that it's a personnel document exempt from disclosure, we did provide it anyway. There was no reason not to. The individual who submitted it was comfortable with providing, so we provided it.
Seeing no other business, do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, and having the extra time today, we call it a meeting.
I think it's a hit.
Oh, come on.
I really do.
Come on. The line of the night is Mr. Morandi. Just put it once.
Never gonna put this out.
He's the same, you can speak after him. If that time never exists.
Some of them show a PowerPoint during
I know, but they say.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, you too. Nice to meet you too.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I don't know how to teach this. I have no idea how to cube. Do they just scroll on their scale?
Somebody will,
Well, you want for Thursday, Friday? I'm stuck in double track. Yeah, I don't think it's
Yeah.
Usually get a text. Or update, one or the other. Good.
I just sent you, I just read a LinkedIn this morning from Barbara Reinhold,
Right.
Stevens, talking about manufacturing.